I'm probably going to get cancelled for this video, but should we rank Taylor Swift's albums? Just to clarify, I am a massive Taylor Swift fan. I did go to the Eras tour. She is my favourite artist in the world. She's always the top artist every single year on my Spotify Wrapped. So, yeah, this is just my current album ranking, all 11 albums. Should we just get into it? Coming in at 11, Taylor Swift. I mean, I do love this album. It is just the album that I listen to the least of hers. If that will change with Taylor's version of Taylor Swift, I don't know. But I'm not the biggest country fan. And there are songs on this album that I love and that I always listen to. Our song, Should Have Said No, Mary's Song. It's a great album for a debut album. However, it is the Taylor Swift album that I listen to the least. However, I am excited for Taylor's version of it. Number 10, Fearless, Taylor's version. I will always love this album, and the nostalgia that I have with this album is unmatched. There's so many songs on this album that just remind me of being younger, being at high school. You Belong With Me was the first Taylor Swift song that got me into her music in the first place, and I will always love that song. There's songs on here that I just love as well. The Way I Loved You, one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. However, as an album, it's just an album that I don't really revisit a lot. Also, not the biggest fan of the vault tracks. That's When is actually one of my favorites when it comes to Taylor Swift's vault tracks. I'm just looking at the track list, and You're Not Sorry I really love. 15 is obviously a banger. Forever and Always, I love that song. Change is my sister's favorite Taylor Swift song. I really love it as well. The Other Side of the Door as well. So there are bangers on this album. However, when it comes to the whole album, it's not really an album that I visit a lot. I've got a lot of nostalgia. It was my first Taylor Swift album that I actually got on CD as well. So I've got a lot of nostalgia with it. But yeah, it's just not one of my favorites anymore. Like I said though, there are songs on the album that I really love and I still listen to all the time. Number 9 is probably going to upset a few people. Lover. I am just not a lover boy. I'm not a lover boy, I'm afraid, and I have tried, and I think this album isn't a bad album at all. I don't think Taylor Swift has a bad album, in my opinion. However, the highs of this album are so high. The lows are so low. I think my main problem with this album is I would love it a lot more if it was cut down, just because there's a few songs that I just really not the biggest fan on. However, the highs, Cruel Summer, obviously. I actually really love Lover as a song. I love The Archer as well. The Archer is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs in general. Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, that song, especially with the Eras tour, has become one of my favorites. Cornelia Street is my favorite song off this album. Cornelia Street saved Lover for me. I love that song. Death by a Thousand Cuts, incredible. I'm not the biggest London Boy fan, even though I am a London boy. I do live near London and I am a boy. I'm not the biggest fan of London Boy, I'm afraid. I can't. False God, I think, is one of Taylor Swift's most underrated songs, in all honesty. And I think Daylight might be one of my favourite closers of any of Taylor Swift's albums. However, as an album, it's just not one of my favorites. There's too many skips on here for me. Like I said, the highs of this album are so high, but the lows are just so low. 8, and this is getting really difficult now. Top 8 kind of change all the time. At the moment, 1989, and it breaks my heart to say this because this album is so special to me. Like, I went to the 1989 tour. This was the first time I saw Taylor, and yeah, it's always been one of my favorite albums. There is no denying how huge this album was. And I feel like maybe that's why it's so low down on my ranking, because a lot of the songs on this album were huge. And they're songs that I will obviously sing along to if I hear them, but they're not songs that I actively go out my way to listen to. One of those is Shake It Off, and if you went to the Eras tour, the Shake It Off effect is so real because that is one of my favorite songs to ever experience at a Taylor Swift concert because the vibes are unmatched. However, I never listen to Shake It Off. I know every single word of it. I hear it all the time. I never actively go out my way to listen to it. It's the same with Bad Blood as well. However, there's songs on 1989 that are my favorites. Style, Out of the Woods. I think my favorite song of 1989 would be Clean. And then obviously with Taylor's version of 1989 with the vault tracks, I can't lie, I was a little bit disappointed with the vault tracks from 1989 because I expected a lot. However, we got Is It Over Now, which a banger. I can't believe Taylor Swift kept that song from us for so long. Now That We Don't Talk as well. Yes, love that. I also just remembered You Are in Love and New Romantics as well. I love those songs. So this is still always going to be a special album to me. However, the albums above it are just a little bit more special. One of the best pop albums to ever exist. There is no denying that. And then 7, we've got Speak Now, Taylor's version. Speak Now is a very special album to me because it was probably the album that really made me a Swiftie. I first discovered Taylor's music with Fearless. Speak Now was the album that really did make me a Swiftie. Enchanted has always been one of my favourite songs, and I know it's become one of her most known songs now, which is incredible that after all this time it's become so big. This album did deserve a lot better on the Eras tour. I mean, there's songs on this album that deserve to be on the set list. Sparks Fly should have been on the set list. Back to December is one of my favourite Taylor Swift songs as well. I feel like I keep saying this, but there are songs on each album that are in my favourites. The Story of Us, Better Than Revenge, Haunted, Long Live is actually my favourite Taylor Swift song. Like, that is the top one. Long Live is my favourite one. I actually really enjoyed the vault from this album as well. Castles Crumbling featuring Hayley Williams. I've always dreamed of a Taylor Swift and Paramore or Taylor Swift and Hayley Williams collaboration, and we got it with Speak Now, Taylor's version. But yeah, Speak Now is so special to me, and I will always feel so nostalgic whenever I listen to it. 6 is Midnights, and this album is just, it's incredible. I love it so much, and the Midnights era was just so fun, and there's songs on here that I really love. I remember listening to the beginning of Lavender Haze for the first time when this album came out and just being like, oh my god. And obviously it was just after Folklore and Evermore, so Taylor had gone back to pop music as well, so it was like the biggest shock. Obviously there's a 3am edition as well. I will be honest, the 3am edition tracks have not grown well with me. I don't really listen to them a lot. I love Dear Reader, and I love Would've, Could've, Should've. The others I don't really listen to that much. There's a few songs on this album that I don't really listen to that much as well. However, I love Mastermind. That was amazing on the Eras tour as well. I love Bejeweled. I love Question. Maroon is one of Taylor Swift's best songs. That song, incredible. So yeah, I love Midnights. However, we get to the top 5 and yeah, this always changes. And it also won Album of the Year at the Grammys last year. So it is an Album of the Year. So 5, we have got Reputation. And I got to live through the Reputation era being a Taylor Swift fan. And I just remember this being the most insane moment. Being a long-time Taylor Swift fan and getting to experience this album release as it was happening was just something that I can't even put to words. But this album, I love it so much. At first, I was kind of more confused about what was going on. However, this album has really become my favourites over the years. I think when I went to the Reputation tour as well, I got to appreciate this album a lot more. I'm very excited for Reputation, Taylor's version. Like, I need that album. Getaway Car, one of my favourite songs off this album. Dancing with Our Hands Tied, Call It What You Want. There are so many bangers on this album, and I'm very excited for the Reputation, Taylor's version, Vault tracks. Also, the back cover of this album is just so gorgeous. I mean, I know there's a song on the album called Gorgeous, and I did not mean to do that, but you know what I mean. It's gorgeous. Yeah, very excited for Reputation, Taylor's version. Okay, top 4, and this is where it gets really, really difficult because this just switches all the time. 4, we've got Folklore, the album of the year at the Grammys, and this album will always be so special to me because it come out at a time where I needed it the most. We were in lockdown, and it's the music that I've always wanted Taylor Swift to do, and it's genuinely the album that I always go to when I'm feeling stressed out, or I just need to kind of escape from the real world a little bit. I just kind of get lost with this album. It's definitely become my comfort album, and it's just beautiful. Definitely one of my favorite things that Taylor Swift has ever done. Yeah, I can't even put into words how special this album is to me, actually. I'll always love this album. This is probably my most spun record as well. It is such a vinyl album. Folklore is just, it's a special album. Like I said, it is a very special album to me. Moving on to 3, The Torture Poets Department. And this is an album that I have just recently made my whole personality in the past year that we've kind of had it. I don't even know how to describe how much I love it. Like with Folklore, this album has just genuinely been something that I have fully just immersed myself with. Even with like the anthology, I just think it is such a beautiful body of work. Grammys are this weekend, so by the time I've posted this video, the Grammys probably would have happened. But it deserves Album of the Year so much because I think it's just really underrated. I think it's been overshadowed by Taylor's kind of overexposure with the general public, with like the Eras tour, and then like just so much happening to do with her. I feel like a lot of people haven't given this album the time of day that it deserves. It's just a perfect mix of upbeat songs, very honest, raw songs. This is the most vulnerable we've ever seen Taylor, and I, yeah, really, really, really love it. My favourite songs off this album: Guilty as Sin, So Long London, Fresh Out the Slammer. As for the Anthology edition, Chloe Osama, Sophia and Marcus. This album has a song with my name in the title, so it's definitely one of my favourites, not just because of that, but also maybe also because of that. The Prophecy, The Black Dog, I'm Gonna Get You Back. There are so many songs on this album that have instantly become classics in my Taylor Swift favourites. So number 2 is Red, Taylor's version. And the reason why is because Red's always been my favourite Taylor Swift album for years. And I think this is just the perfect album that just encapsulates heartbreak. It is the perfect autumn album. The singles, the upbeat ones, We Are Never Ever Going Back Together, 22, I Knew You Were Trouble. Those are songs that I don't actively really go out my way to listen to, but they're also songs that everyone knows the lyrics to. But then you've also got the lesser known songs on this album, which are just incredible. I mean, obviously we need to talk about the 10-minute version of All Too Well. All Too Well has always been one of my favourite songs, and the whole 10-minute version of All Too Well has been something that we have all been begging Taylor for 4 years since it was revealed that the original version was 10 minutes. The fact that we actually finally got it with Taylor's version is insane. And obviously the short film as well. This album deserved a Grammy. It deserved Album of the Year. But there's songs on this album which I just love so much. State of Grace, I think, is her best opening track on any of her albums. Holy Ground is another one of my favorites. The Last Time is also one of my favorites as well. And then there is a particular song on this album that I love a lot. I may have posted a lot of videos on the internet across TikTok and Instagram asking Taylor to do it as a surprise song in London at the Eras tour, which actually did happen. And that song's Come Back Be Here. And that song is one of my favourite songs to ever exist, and it's on this album, and I love it so much. But yeah, that happened. London 91, Come Back Be Here was a surprise song in a mashup with Maroon and The Black Dog, which was just insane. It was such an incredible moment, and my love for that song has got such a special memory attached to it now. But yeah, the vault tracks as well. I think so far this has been my favorite Taylor's version vault tracks. There's so many incredible vault tracks on here. My favorites, I'm so glad that we actually have her version of Better Man and Babe, because I love those songs, but Taylor's version hasn't been a thing, and now we have like her version of those songs. Nothing New with Phoebe Bridgers. What a collaboration. Insane. I'm a big Phoebe Bridgers fan as well. I love Phoebe. We've obviously got Forever Winter as well, which I think is such a good song. It's so sad, but I love that song so much. The Very First Night. Yeah, this album, I mean, there's 30 songs on Taylor's version, and it is just perfect. It's so good. A few songs on there that aren't necessarily my favorites, but I do think the highs on this album are just phenomenal, and it's such a classic album. Like I said, it's always been my favorite album of hers up until this album, which I'm about to show. Evermore. Justice for Evermore, because this album, so firstly Folklore was obviously a thing, and then Evermore come along. This is actually my birthday album as well. So this come out 2 days after my birthday. I was celebrating my birthday when it got announced, and it just is the perfect kind of winter Christmas album without being a Christmas album. Obviously you've got 'Tis the Damn Season, but like it feels like winter, and I just love this album so much. So much. There's songs on here that I always go to when I am feeling stressed out and when I'm feeling kind of low. Tolerate It is a beautiful song, one of her best songs completely. Champagne Problems, Gold Rush, I love Gold Rush, Coney Island, Happiness, Long Story Short, Evermore with Bon Iver, Right Where You Left Me. Yeah, this album is incredible, and it's always going to be my favorite album, I think. I mean, I say that, it might change, but yeah, Evermore is definitely an album that I really think is my comfort album. Folklore is as well, but Evermore, yeah, I am such an Evermore boy. It's such a beautiful album, and it's her most underrated piece of work, I think. The people who get Evermore get it. If you don't, there will be a time in your life where Evermore, you will get it. And I think that's why I love it so much, because there's songs on this album that I just relate to massively. And I think that is why my favourite, because I found so much comfort in it. So, yeah, that is my number one Taylor Swift album. But yeah, that was my Taylor Swift album ranking. I kind of just talked a lot about that. But yeah, Evermore is my number one. Like I said, Taylor Swift is my favourite artist in the world. I did go to the Eras tour as well, and it was one of probably actually the best thing I have ever been to. So yeah, I love her music so much. I know it sounds really silly, but like I can't imagine my life not being a Taylor Swift fan. I think because I've been a Taylor Swift fan for so long now, since I was like 14, I just, yeah, can't imagine things differently. And to go into the Eras tour last year was just the happiest I think I've been in a long time, just because I love her music so much. That was my Taylor Swift album ranking. Hope you enjoyed this video. I don't really know how to end the YouTube video now, so I just want to say, you know, follow me on like TikTok and Instagram and all of that. Let me know what videos you want to see. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll see you all soon. I'm still trying to work out this YouTube thing again, but yeah, we'll work some things out. Let me know what you want to see. That will help me out loads, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.